Well, congratulations on making it to your second guitar lesson. If you have not yet gone through the first guitar lesson, the link to that video is in the description. And please also go through my video on how to tune your guitar. Let's begin your second guitar lesson. If you're still having trouble playing the D chord, that's okay because there is an easy way to play the D chord, and I'd like to show you that now. So set up your fingers just like you're going to play the D chord. And as long as you get the D string and the second fret of the G string to ring out like this, as long as you get that, you're going to sound pretty good. So if the B string and E string are muffled, it's okay. Just keep practicing that chord. One day you'll start to hear the B string ring out, and one day the high E string will ring out also. You can continue to play the easy G chord like this. To get a more full sound, you can now start to practice the full 6-string G chord, which is like this. The G chord requires a big stretch with these two fingers, and a lot of beginners, especially children, find this challenging. You can start by placing your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string, that's the thickest string. Then put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. Next, and this is challenging, you have to get your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string, the thinnest string, the string closest to the floor. We will play one string at a time so that we can hear if anything is not right. You may have the A string sounding muffled like this. But that is actually okay. You don't need the A string for this chord to sound good, and a lot of guitar players prefer to play it this way where they muffle the A string on purpose. So to get a good sounding G chord, focus on your middle finger playing the 3rd fret of the low E string, this note right here, and your ring finger playing the 3rd fret of the high E string, this note right here. If you're having a hard time playing this chord, don't worry about it. It's okay. I have taught hundreds and hundreds of people how to play the guitar, and I would say that more than 50% of people cannot play this chord right away. It does take some practice. It takes some time. Don't give up on it. You can still play the easy G chord like this. And you can even just try to get your middle finger to reach up here. And if you can't, it's alright because you can just play the easy G chord even with that finger there. Now let's do something a little bit easier. Maybe. The exercise that you learned in the first guitar lesson, try playing the same thing on the B string. Then try playing this exercise on all 6 strings. you'll notice that as I get to the thicker strings, my fingers are less curved so that I can reach further. So they start to straighten out. So try doing this exercise every time you play the guitar, and if it starts to get easy for you, you can make it more challenging by playing it over here on the first 4 frets of the guitar. The frets are wider over here, and also you have to press down a little more over here. So see if you can play the exercise over here like this. Make sure that you do not bend the guitar strings when you play the guitar. Not just for this exercise, but for anything you play on the guitar. The strings that you're playing should be parallel to the other guitar strings. So they should stay straight like this. Also make sure that you always try to get your finger as close to the next fret as possible. So not in the middle, and definitely not over here away from the fret, but as close to the next fret as you can. Another thing you want to do is when you're picking individual notes, like in this exercise, or you're playing a song that just has one note at a time and not a chord, you're not picking with your arm in the air, you're using your wrists like this. So you can see my arm is not moving, my thumb is not moving, it's all in the wrist. However, when I play a chord, I do use my arm. I'm using my arm and my wrist. So there's a difference how you use the pick, whether you're playing a chord or playing an individual note. It's a different technique. And now let's talk about how to play the full 5-string C chord on the guitar. You can continue to play the easy C chord like this, but the full 5-string C chord sounds a little more full. Start by placing your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, then your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. We play the G string open, then put your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and we play the high E string open, and try not to play the low E string. You'll notice that my fingers are not straight and parallel with the frets. They're at an angle pointing toward my nose, and my fingers are very curved. And just like in the easy C chord, if the high E string is muffled, make sure to curve your finger a little more and bring your wrist forward a little bit like that. And if you find that any of the other strings are muffled, it could be that, for example, this finger is not curved enough. So if you have it straight like that, it'll muffle the string underneath. The same thing with this one. So you don't want it to look like that. You want it to look curved and angled or slanted like that. And my pinky is not in use, but I don't recommend doing anything like that. I recommend having your pinky hug your ring finger like that. So it may look like it's touching, but it's not touching any of the strings. It's floating in the air. You can bring your thumb up like that, or have it behind the neck like this, or like this. And If you are able to get all the notes to ring out, you could try it like this. Again, if you cannot play this C chord like this, don't be discouraged. It's okay. A lot of other people are learning the guitar just like you. They're having the same challenges. Stick with it. Just keep practicing, and one day it will ring out smoothly. It does take some time. It does take some practice. You can do it. And by the way, if you have not yet memorized the names of the notes of each string, that will be very helpful to do that. So spend just a few seconds every time you play the guitar just saying the note name of each string like this: E, A, D, G, B, E, B, G, D, A, E. Remember to keep your fingernails on this hand as short as possible, and that's going to make playing the guitar a lot easier. Okay, now I have some good news for you. The D chord and the E minor chord that you learned in the first video guitar lesson are considered the full D chord and the full E minor chord, so there's nothing more difficult that you have to learn to play those chords. I hope you've enjoyed your second guitar lesson. If you did, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Also, please feel free to ask any questions. And if you'd like to watch more of my videos, just search Guitarincrease. Thank you very much.